Taylor Swift is the biggest pop star on the planet. She's one of the best-selling musical artists in the history of the world, and she's also a billionaire. But her latest album, The Life of a Showgirl, was not exactly met with the same universal praise that we have come to expect from Taylor. This mixed response sparked 1,000 threads of online discourse. Has she lost her touch? No. Has she dumbed her lyrics down so Travis Kelce can understand them? No, and actually, out of the two of them, Travis is the one who has a university degree. To me, a lot of that discourse is just online noise. Ultimately, I think I just have one question. Where does Taylor Swift go from here? To look forward, we must first look back. It's okay to feel. The Taylor Swift origin story. The year is 2006. You're a girl, maybe you're 12, like I was in 2006. Promiscuous by Nelly Furtado and Timbaland is on the radio. You just watched the music video for Stupid Girls by Pink on MTV. And maybe you're looking forward to the new episode of The Simple Life starring Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. Everywhere you look, women are the punchline. I know that there were women making subversive art and music back in the mid-2000s. But when you're 12 years old, frontal lobe years off reaching full development and no real subversive role models in sight, you're going to consume mainstream pop culture and you're going to feel its effects. Arguably, misogyny was, and potentially even still is, the mainstream. Enter 16-year-old Taylor Swift. In a world where mainstream femininity was crafted entirely for men, and the idea of being a feminist largely meant putting down other women, Taylor Swift, with her teenage innocence, all-encompassing feelings, and whimsical charm, stood out from the crowd. She spoke to an entire generation of women who finally felt as though their feelings weren't frivolous. Cracking the code, or how to build a Swiftie. Over the last 2 decades, Taylor Swift has crafted a feverish, unique, and ultimately incredibly successful relationship with her fans. I think we can break this relationship down into a few key components. The girlhood experience, as narrated by Taylor Swift. Taylor has a remarkable ability to write about universal experiences like heartbreak, while at the same time rendering them incisive, meaningful, and important. And this is part of the reason why Taylor was able to break through when she did and how she did. Heartbreak, growing up, gaining independence, looking back, heart sickness, yearning. Taylor does all of this so well. Arguably, every single element of girlhood has been narrated by Taylor Swift via song. And that's very, very powerful, particularly when not a lot of other artists are speaking to girlhood and womanhood in that way, at least on such a mainstream level. The opt-in 20-year alternate reality puzzle game. I got that turn of phrase from Dan and Phil. Thank you so much, Dan and Phil. I love it. Arguably, Taylor Swift understood what a 21st century fan wanted from their favorite artists long before anyone else did. In 2006, she already established her online presence via her MySpace page, which allowed her to connect directly with her fans when most other artists were still using PO boxes. She inserted hidden messages into her debut album's liner notes, which is a practice that she would keep up until her 2014 album 1989. These hidden messages, which were typically randomly capitalized letters within the lyrics of her album, usually spelled out little phrases or words which related to the quote-unquote true meaning of the song, something that Taylor wanted to share as like an in-joke or just another little piece of the puzzle that is her lore. Speaking to Taylor on MySpace, laughing along with her hidden in-jokes or correctly deciphering the first name of the boy who cheated on her in high school via the hidden messages in Debut, as a fan, it all felt like getting to know the real Taylor. If you want to become a more invested fan of Taylor Swift, say make the graduation from fan to stan, Taylor Swift has created a world for you. First, this world was on MySpace and in the liner notes of her album. Then it graduated to little hidden Easter eggs in her music videos. And nowadays, even her hand signals at award ceremonies are up for interpretation. This practice was wildly innovative and all in the spirit of fun and connection. It was a totally optional side quest. And those who did partake in the extracurricular activity of decoding all of these hidden messages were rewarded with an extra special tie to Taylor. And crucially, a community of like-minded Swifties with which to share their theories and sleuth together. Over the years, it was with these more invested Swifties that Taylor started to share even more of herself. When MySpace lost its relevance, she jumped ship to Tumblr, where she would repeatedly interact with her fans on a personal level. Taylor has demonstrated time and again that she understands the fundamental power and impact of giving even just 3 minutes of her time to a fan. At its heart, I don't think, maybe I don't want to believe, that this is a cynical endeavor from Taylor. If it was, I think you could see where the effort starts to bear diminishing returns. In other words, I don't see any other pop artists inviting fans into their homes, which says to me that you don't necessarily have to do that in order to create a thriving and engaged fan community. Like, I do think Taylor has gone above and beyond in the past to serve her fans. With that being said, you cannot deny that developing these intense bonds with her fans does help Taylor on a commercial level. And I think this is the heart of the conversation that I want to have about Taylor Swift. And before I do that, I want to say that there is a world where a lot of different things can be true when we talk about Taylor Swift, and it's our job to try and pass them. I believe Taylor loves her fans as people, and I believe that she wants to make them happy. I also believe that she sees them as customers. And I'm sorry, but you just can't convince me that releasing 27 slightly different versions of the same album is anything but corporate greed, even if we put all of that charts discourse to the side. Anyway, as I see it, these are the two primary pillars of Swiftiedom. We have Taylor's well-written and relatable songs that speak to womanhood and girlhood in a way that many people don't access anywhere else. And then we also have the fact that she created a totally unique, almost entirely online space for her most dedicated fans to geek out and develop a incredibly robust parasocial relationship with her. One final thing that I wanted to talk about in this section is the underdog narrative. Some people call this Taylor's victim complex, but I think I prefer the title of the underdog narrative because I think it's a little bit more accurate, and I also think it is a lot less loaded. Without completely tumbling down the rabbit hole, because this is not where I wanted to go today, I kind of think that the concept of Taylor Swift's victim complex has roots in misogyny or discounting a woman's work because a lot of it is about heartbreak or feelings. The first major example of the underdog narrative taking place with Taylor Swift in the mainstream is, of course, the 2009 VMAs when Kanye West interrupted her acceptance speech on stage. In doing so, Kanye West made himself a pariah and automatically turned Taylor into this innocent princess, the wronged party, or as Katy Perry put it at the time, a kitten that has been stepped on. The underdog, in general, is easy to root for. We all want the underdog to win. It's a role that Taylor plays very well. And I don't say that to be snarky. I do mean it. In these situations, Taylor is easy to root for because a lot of the time, there is an element of truth to the fight. When Taylor's masters were sold to Scooter Braun, she adopted the role of representative to all underdog artists in the music industry. And she taught her fans all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that had affected her so badly as it does every other artist in the music industry. She taught her fans why this was so important. When she finally bought her masters, it was heartwarming. It felt like a victory for everybody. Just try not to think too much about how much money you spent on Taylor's versions in the meantime. I'm joking. I spent it too. An Easter egg hunt or just mindless busy work? On October 3, 2025, Taylor Swift released her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl. And just as it goes, every time Taylor Swift releases an album, the entire world subsequently lost its damn mind. I think so much of the discourse surrounding this album has become really black and white, polarizing, and it's just unproductive. From the moment the Kelsey Brothers podcast New Heights shared a suspiciously Taylor Swift-shaped teaser to their socials, the Showgirl Easter egg hunt was on. Over the years, the Taylor Swift alternate reality puzzle game / Easter egg hunt has had a significant budget increase. Gone are the days of the capitalized lyrical codes in Taylor Swift's physical liner notes. No. Nowadays, Apple Music is on board to do all of that capitalization and code creation at their end. And it doesn't stop there. No. For Showgirl, fans could actually go and hunt for Easter eggs in real life at a Spotify-sponsored pop-up installation. And our friends and overlords at Google and YouTube facilitated the installation of 12 orange doors in 12 different cities across the world, which all included a QR code which revealed secret shorts on Taylor's YouTube channel, which, when collated, then revealed the lyric video to The Fate of Ophelia. It's a lot of work for a lyric video. Also, those videos were AI, but listen, this video is only so long, okay? Now, what do you notice when you hear all of those examples in succession? I think the main thing is that these Easter egg hunts and little codes and things like that have been co-opted by businesses and brands. They aren't just something that happens between Taylor and her fans anymore. And what is the lesson that brands always take from artists at the expense of any other lesson they could possibly learn? That's right. Artists can make brands more money. A great example of this is the Spice Girls and girl power. Back in the early 90s, girl power was actually a phrase that was coined by the Riot Girls, a feminist punk collective. But it only took a handful of years for the music industry bigwigs to realize that girl power did not have to be subversive. It could easily be co-opted by a girl band / brand in order to sell stuff to little girls. Instead of being used as a slogan to rally against the patriarchy and demand change, girl power was used as an opportunity to tell little girls that actually shopping can be very empowering.
Nothing looks better in tabloids than queues and queues of people and distraught children outside toy shops. It looks great, it fuels the hype, it's stoking the fire around Christmas. They want everybody to go out, be buying the merchandise, the single, going out to see the film. This is the perfect way to do it.
Similarly, brands see Taylor's connection to her fans, or perhaps their commitment to her, as a business opportunity. And listen, however you feel about everything I just said, there is a strong argument for the idea that all of these activities are still entirely voluntary. Fans don't have to go to the Spotify pop-up. They don't have to decode the orange doors around the world. They don't have to piece together lyrics from individually capitalized letters. This is all entirely optional behavior. That is, until the scale begins to shift. And instead of a fun extracurricular activity for the fans, Taylor Swift's law starts to become required reading for the album. We exist in the context to an extent. The Life of a Showgirl was accompanied by the theatrical release of a promotional film titled The Release Party of a Showgirl. I didn't see this film. From what I can tell, it included exclusive behind-the-scenes footage from the making of The Fate of Ophelia music video, a track-by-track interview, lyric videos, and the official premiere of the Fate of Ophelia music video. If you were just stumbling across this video in your recommendations, hello to you. You might not know that Pop Vault is actually a part of Shameless Media. Shameless Media is a podcast company, and Shameless Podcast, our flagship podcast, covers all things pop culture. And so naturally, Shameless Podcast put out an episode reviewing The Life of a Showgirl. I was on that episode. When I expressed a softly negative view on a couple of the songs on the record, as a card-holding Swiftie no less, we received a not negligible amount of DMs from other Swifties who asked us, well, did you see the film? Because it doesn't make sense without the film. Now, as far as I'm aware, the release party of a Showgirl was not required reading to comprehend the life of a showgirl. If Taylor had told us that the music was supposed to be accompanied by this film, then I would have gone and seen it before offering an opinion on it. But that's not what this was. This film was sold to fans as a bonus and it only ran in theaters for a grand total of like 3 days. If Taylor really thought that this film was like the grand thesis of the life of a showgirl, she would have told us. So, besides the idea that these Easter egg hunts have grown beyond a fun activity for fans into a money-making visibility opportunity for brands, I think we're also starting to see the complexity of Taylor's lore overwhelm the music itself. I really liked this piece which ran in the New York Times recently. Taylor Swift is our biggest cinematic universe, but the magic is fading. Here's a quote that I think encapsulates the current state of Swiftydom really well. Swift has long addressed her fandom as a world apart, wizards in a world of muggles. The uninitiated were either prejudiced haters or total non-entities. A career-long dedication to offering bite-sized chunks of her personal life to her fans has worked so well for Taylor that now her fans are policing each other's behavior, criticizing each other for not, quote, putting in the work to understand her music. And goodness, with the added investment of Spotify, Apple Music, Google, YouTube, there is a lot of work to be done. In the actual album itself, I think a really good example of this lore overload can be found in the track Actually Romantic. As a standalone track, this song is fine. It's perfectly good. However, it's actually my opinion, I personally believe this, that in order to properly critique the song Actually Romantic, in order to fully quote-unquote get it, you need to know who Charli XCX is. You need to have listened to Sympathy is a Knife on the album Brat. You need to read up on Taylor and Charli's professional relationship. God forbid you need to know who Maddie Healy is. Here's another quote from that New York Times piece for you to chew on. To achieve its strongest effects, Showgirl relies on the listener's interest in decoding the references to real people and situations the song may or may not be about. A dig at another pop star, a mention of her fiancé's podcast. The album feels less like an album, the marketing less like a way to bring that album to its fans. What should fandom require of us? What does valid criticism require of us? How much do I need to be invested in a piece of work before I can offer a quote-unquote valid opinion on it? And further to this, I want to say that I think it's time for all of us, Swifties and non-Swifties alike, to admit that there are very few situations these days where Taylor Swift remains an underdog. The Taylor Swift underdog narrative was deeply enmeshed in Taylor Swift fandom for a really long time, and personal conflict is a theme that Taylor often revisits in her work. In Actually Romantic, though, she comes across as less of an underdog and more an aggressor. I'm positive there is more to the story of Actually Romantic and Sympathy is a Knife, the Charli XCX Taylor Swift relationship, than any of us have been privy to. But my point still stands, I think. For me, it's quite difficult to reconcile this Taylor with the same young woman who wrote Innocent after the 2009 VMAs. I don't know how to answer any of those questions, and that's okay, because they're actually not the question I asked at the beginning of this video. I wanted to know, where does Taylor Swift go from here? So, where to from here? Taylor Swift is a woman in the public eye, which means the way society views her swings on a pendulum. We love her, we hate her, we love her, we hate her, so it goes. If history can teach us anything, I would say that society as a whole has been quote-unquote due for a round of Taylor Swift hate for a while now. I don't think that she can experience the level of overwhelming success that she has with the Eras tour without suffering public backlash. I also don't say it because I think the critiques of her latest album are invalid. In that sense, a part of me believes that Showgirl was always destined for this kind of reception. I often wonder if Taylor predicted it herself. I want to tell you about one thing that I really, really loved about the rollout of The Life of a Showgirl. I want to talk about her interview on New Heights. I think we moved on a little too quickly from this. As a fan of Taylor Swift, this is the first time in a very, very long time, maybe ever, that we've had this level of undiluted access to her as a person. It felt new and exciting to have nearly 2 full hours of her just talking in a situation where she clearly felt comfortable and safe. I made a TikTok at the time that I still stand by, in which I said basically that this is what Swifties want from Taylor. We just want her. She gave snippets of that genuine connection on MySpace, on Tumblr. She hasn't given it to us like that in a long time. But on the New Heights interview, she did, and it was awesome. As a fan, I don't want to access Taylor through AI-generated YouTube shorts. I don't want to access her through decoding secret messages or a Spotify-sponsored pop-up. I don't want to have to crack a bunch of codes just to be able to watch our lyric video. And I don't want to have to spend $31 to go to the movies so that I can understand her record. And I don't want to know any more about Maddie Healy than I already do. I guess all I want really is the option to press play on a podcast and just listen to her speak in my own time, in the comfort of my own home, if I want to. On a commercial level, I do understand why all of this stuff, the Easter eggs, the lore, the hidden messages, has been used by Taylor and co-opted by brands. I understand that the pop music landscape is unspeakably cruel. I understand that perhaps Taylor feels compelled to continue to push her music like this, to use the lore to get headlines, to continue to collaborate and get into bed with major companies like Google and Spotify and Apple. Because what if it's all taken away tomorrow? What if we all wake up as a society and decide that Taylor Swift is too old to be a pop star? It's not a wild thought. The reason I liked the New Heights interview so much was because it felt small. Maybe that's the wrong word. Grounded, maybe? It was personal. I didn't feel like she was trying to sell me stuff. I don't know what Taylor's going to do next. Whatever it is, I really hope that we get less brand activations, less busy work, less pop-ups, less noise, less stuff. As Taylor Swift says, I just want you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to support Pop Alt, all you have to do is click subscribe, like this video please, and leave a comment. How do you feel about all of this? And please don't send me death threats. If you're a Swiftie, I promise I am one of you. I also write a weekly internet culture column, also called Pop Alt. So if that sounds like something you would like, you can go to the description of this video and subscribe. Thank you.